Hello everybody, this is Mr. Kissinger. Welcome to 5th grade math, module 1, lesson 11. Today our objective is multiply a decimal fraction by single digit whole numbers, relate to a written method through application of the area model, and place value understanding and explain the reasoning used. So we're going to use both a written method and an area model, as well as those place value charts that we've been using to kind of get a better understanding of how to multiply decimal fractions, which is just kind of a fancy name for numbers that have decimals in them. So let's look at the top of our page here. It says solve by drawing discs on a place value chart. Write an equation and explain write an equation and express the product in standard form. So if you look at letter A, it says 3 copies of 2/10. So what we're going to do is we're going to make our place value chart here, and we will do just a small one. We'll do just 1s and 10ths. That's all we'll need for this. And right here we'll do 1s. And here we'll do 10ths. And we have 3 copies of 2/10. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And whenever we have 10/10, we can cash that in for 1, 1. But we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6/10. So we don't even need our ones place. I always like to, when we're working with tenths, at least put a ones place in there in case we need to cash some of them in for ones. So all we're going to end up with is 6/10, and what that looks like is a decimal point, 0.6 or 0.6. And that would be our final answer there. So moving on to letter B, we have 5 groups of 200ths. So let's make ourselves a place value chart again here. Draw it a little bit bigger this time. Give ourselves some room. And I'm going to do hundredths. And then I'm going to do tenths as well, in case we have to cash in some of those hundredths. So when it says to do 5 groups of 200ths, we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 5 groups of 200ths. And what do we know when we have 10 of something in one column of our place value chart? We can cash it in for our next biggest place value. So in this case, we can cash it in for 1/10. So we can circle all these, and these are all moving over here, and it gives us 1/10. 10 hundredths equals 1/10. And 1/10 just looks like this. 0.1. In our tenths place, we have a 1. 0.1. Let's do one more of these, and then we'll move on to our area models that we were talking about. So let's do this letter E right here. We'll do 5 times as much as 7/10. So let's draw our place value chart here again. And we have tenths here. Now, when I write tenths like this, or I write tenths like this is the same thing. It's just 2 different ways of writing the same thing. Depending on how much space I have, sometimes I'll write tenths this way, sometimes I'll write tenths this way. You can do either one. It's your choice. And then the next one after that would be ones. We could also write it like, ones, like this. And so we have 5 times as much as 7/10. So we have 7/10 5 times. I might need a little bit more room here. So I'm going to make this box a little bit bigger. We'll use all of our space down to here. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5. We have 5 times 7 tenths. So what we need to do next is we need to figure out how many 10 tenths we have. So how many ones we have all together, because 10 tenths is 1, or 1 whole. So we have 7, 8, 9, 10. So we'll circle these here. This will be 1 tenth. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we need 6 more. So we'll go here. We have 2 tenths. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have, actually, yeah, we'll do it this way. So we have 3 tenths that we're bringing over. 1, 2, 3. They're going to become, or 3 10 tenths, or 3 groups of 10 groups of 10 tens. 10 tenths, so it's going to be 1 each. So that makes 3 ones. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left over. So we have 5 tenths. So how's that going to look? We have 3 ones and 5 tenths, which would be 3.5 or 3.5. All right. So now we're going to move on to our area model, which is going to look like this. It says draw a model similar to the one pictured below for part B, C, and D. Find the sum of the partial products to evaluate each expression. Now, whenever we're doing multiplication, we can always look at it as a rectangle, and we can find the area of that rectangle to find the product. So in this case, we have 7 here, and that's one of our factors. And then we're going to, instead of finding our final product right away, we're going to find partial products and add them together. So we'll take 7 times 3 ones, which is here. 7 times 1 tenth, which is this place value. And then 7 times 2 hundredths, which is that place value. So we're going to take each place value and we're going to multiply it by 7 for that 3.12. So 7 times 3 ones is 21. 21 ones, which is just 21. 7 times 1 tenth will be 7 tenths, which looks like this. And then we have 7 times 2 hundredths, which is 14 hundredths or 0.14. And then we need to add those all together. So we would do 21 plus 0.7 plus 0.14. Put our zeros in. We get 4, 8, 2. Make sure we bring down our decimal. And we have 21.84. So we're going to do the, oh, they're off the screen there. So right here, this is what I was adding those up. And then we're going to do the same thing with letter B here. So let's start by drawing our rectangle. And we're going to find the area of this rectangle by multiplying length times height. So our height here is going to be 6. We're getting that from right here. So we're going to make that our height. And then we're going to multiply by each place value. So we're going to multiply by 4, multiply by 2 tenths, and multiply by 5 hundredths. So we'll split this rectangle into 3 parts. The first one is going to be 4 ones. The second part is going to be 2/10. And the third part is going to be 5/100. All right, so 6 times 4 ones, so 6 times 4 gives us 24 ones. Then we need to do 6 times 2/10 to find the area of this little rectangle here. 6 times 2/10. 6 times 2 is 12. And make sure we put our label on there for tenths. Make that a little neater so we can read it. All right, yes, 12/10. And then 6 times 5 is 30. And that would be 30/100. All right, so 24 ones, what does that look like? Well, 24 1 just looks like 24. 12/10. Well, if we had 10/10, we would have 1 whole, because 10/10 we can cash it in for a 1. So we have 10/10, and then we have 2 left over. So we'd have 1 and 2/10, 1.2. Next, we have 30/100. Well, remember that when we have 10/100, 10/100 equals 1/10. So how many times do we have 10/100? When we have 30/100, we have 3 10s in 30. So we can get 3/10 altogether. So now we need to add these up, and we can get our final product. We have 24 plus 1.2 is 25.2 plus 0.3, well, 25.3 plus 0.2 equals 25.5. All right. All right, so that's it for Module 1, Lesson 11. We learned how to use both an area model and a place value chart to understand how our written method works. Next time, we will be working a little bit more on multiplication using decimals. I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day, and see you next time.